So a quick note to this video, I was rushed because I had a doctor's appointment and I completely forgot something about this game. I didn't really elaborate on the fact that you can level up in this game. Like you can collect things called karma and then put them into vitality, to strength, stamina, etc., as well as develop different skills that are available in a skill tree. I just completely forgot about that. Like I said, doctor's appointment, I was kind of rushed, people were bugging me. Anyway, I apologize for that. So if you said, hey Nima, what are your least favorite type of games? I would say roguelites and probably Metroidvanias. And nothing against them, I want to like them, and I've said this multiple times. It's just historically speaking, I'm bad at them, and so that's how it goes. But apparently 2024 has said, no, we're going to change that about you. Because it just so happens that some of the best games that have come out so far this year are in fact Metroidvanias, and honestly, I'm here for it. It's been really cool playing a lot of different, very accessible Metroidvanias this year. And yes, we're going to be talking about another one of those today. The game is called HunterX Codename T, which is a very weird name, I must admit, but wow, this game is really fun. Now, if you ask me, the best Metroidvania that came out so far in 2024 is Prince of Persia. I didn't cover it because I figured everyone and their mom was doing a video on it, but if you want me to, let me know and I'll give you my thoughts on it. But does HunterX Codename T come close to Prince of Persia? Where does it fall? Is it really good? Is it just mediocre? Well, why don't you kick back, relax, and enjoy talking about some HunterX Codename T. And before we get into that, please hit that like, subscribe button, bell notifications, do all that fun stuff. I really appreciate it. So does YouTube. They make a lot of money off of both of us. And now that we've praised our overlords, we can continue. So this game, I have to say from the get, does not have a huge, deep storyline. In fact, basically, your character knows that they're compelled to fight demons and evil and whatever, but that's it. Like, that's all they have. They have that, and that they want to find out who they are. That's sort of the entire game in a lot of ways, and it's fine. You know, you're not looking for Shakespeare in these type of games, and to be honest, I actually like it that way because there's not a lot to remember, and when you do finally start opening up the story, it just, I don't know, it becomes more accessible. I hate using that word, and I'm gonna use it a lot today, but it really does. Like, you can follow along with the story better, you understand what's going on, as is, you're kind of being asked to think about like wild, crazy creatures. Like, there's a character in here, a boss, by the way, an evil boss, that reminds me of Satan. Like, you're fighting Satan in this game at some point. And so when you're asked to suspend belief for some of the crazier aspects of the story, more about your character's origin, who they are, how they are relative to the story, it's not such a big deal. And if I'm being honest, like I said, it doesn't even play that much a bigger part of the game. It's just what it is. It's a nice little motivational tool, I guess, but really you don't need it because so much of this game in itself is propelling you forward in so many different ways. I have to say that one of the things that I've heard about with Metroidvanias is you won't get lost. You'll get to a point where you either can't go any further, like literally the map just ends and you can't figure out how to get to another area, or you'll start fighting enemies, specifically bosses, that'll just kill you and you're not prepared for them. Now, with most of those games, it didn't seem to be that way for me. In fact, the only way that I could go seemed to be the way where I got my butt kicked a lot. Now, that's not the same with this game, and I think that that is something pretty cool. There's so many multiple options for you to go through that I think you do have that ability to run into a boss where you go, okay, this is not it, but you know what, there's a ton of other ways that I should have went or I could have go, and I'll take one of those routes and I'll see how that works out for me. And every time that I got kind of stuck on a little area that where maybe the boss was too hard, or maybe there was an area that I just couldn't access at the moment, there was always another window. There was always another option, something else I could do, somewhere else I could go that really seemed to open up the game for me. And I really appreciated that. For me, that is the most accessible thing in this game. Not only that, but the mapping itself. Like, it is actually kind of hard to get lost in this game. I appreciate the hell out of that. I don't know how many times like that is my biggest problem Metroidvanias. There's that, and then there's like the difficulty spike. And of course, like I alluded to, the difficulty spike is usually, hey, you weren't actually supposed to find this boss yet, and you did, and now you got your ass kicked. But it's so hard to find another spot because you don't know where you're going because the map sucks. And in this game, not that at all. In fact, there was multiple times where I was able to just use the map to find other places to go. And I know that for so many like traditionalists, they're going to say, yeah, but that's part of the Metroidvania experience. And you know what? You're right. I'm sure you're 100% right. And that's great. But for me, that's always been like the worst part of these games. And I never realized how important that was. Not to mention, I will say that yes, the combat is a little bit easier. I hate to say easier. Your character is just such a badass and you unlock so many different weapons that the average enemy running around really isn't much of a problem. And also, while you're exploring, and again, I have to say that this is because of the mapping system, it allows you to sort of feel more free to explore, that you're not going to get lost and you're able to just traverse different areas and environments without fear of knowing where you were going or unafraid that you might not be able to backtrack. Because I know that for me is a huge problem in a lot of these games. But due to that, I found a lot of upgrades. I found a lot of weapons. I was really able to push my character to another level. And I have to say, like, beyond anything, that is what I appreciated the most about this game. And honestly, I have to say the combat. The most important aspect of one of these games is the combat, right? Fast, fluid, smooth. I mean, next to Prince of Persia, this played like butter. And I mean, I don't mean like Prince of Persia didn't. I'm just saying like it's the closest thing next to Prince of Persia that I've played that honestly performs incredibly well, especially for everything that's going on and what you're doing. I also feel like the actual combat itself never ultimately beats you. Like, there are certain things that kind of annoy me. Like if you run into an enemy, and a lot of games that hurts you. In this game, it doesn't. If they hit you, that hurts you, but you're able to parry and you're able to dash through them. You're able to do a lot of those movements that a lot of those characters do without taking damage for simply walking into an enemy, which has never really made sense to me. Yes, if you're playing Mario, that makes sense, but when you're actually fighting enemies and just touching them, that shouldn't hurt you. You know what I'm saying? Unless they're like on fire, they have spikes or something, something like that. But my point is that this does not penalize you for that. And to mention that it's just really fast, really responsive. I'm incredibly impressed by what they were able to do on this console. And especially being for the price, which I'll get to. Also, the fact that the game just looks really good. The environments, the enemies, they all look very impressive, very clear, very almost next gen, if you will. Like, it doesn't make me think that this is a throwback in any manner. Now, I will say the actual character themselves could be a little bit more detailed. Like some of the forefronting characters or different NPCs, they could be a little more detailed, but that's fine. Like, they're moving so quick a lot of times it doesn't really matter. But when you look at a lot of the set pieces, when you look at the environments, even the bosses, they are well detailed. And the fact that this game also just runs so smooth. I don't know, for me, this game has been really fun. If you can't tell, I really like it. I think a lot of the more traditionalists who enjoy the real difficult aspects of Metroidvanias may not like that aspect of the game, but I think they'll find it fun. I think they're going to find it just something that they can play and more kick back with than the people who are a little bit like Metroidvania scared. You just want to dip your toe in, so to speak. This is a good game for that. This is a really good game for it. It really welcomes you into that world and lets you know, hey, you can play other games that are maybe a little bit more difficult. You can get through it. We're going to teach you how. So yes, in a way, this is like super accessible and in ways maybe akin to like bumper bowling as an adult for those of us who need it. No, I mean, I'm a good bowler, but my point is, have you ever played bumper bowling as an adult? It is fun as hell, and that's really what this is. Like, if you don't need it, it's still going to be a lot of fun. I think that's the important takeaway. Not to mention the fact that just visually, the game is very impressive. And all of this comes at a price tag of $16.99, which right now is actually discounted 30%, down to like, I think $11.99? $13.59, I apologize. The point is, when you compare that to other games of the same quality, you're looking at like $50 or $60 usually. And that's what I'm telling you. Like, that's how high quality this game is. It's a really good game. I have to say, like, for me, this game gets a solid 8.5 out of 10, just because I can't find anything really wrong with it. There's a bunch of equipment, there's different skills, I didn't really get into that. I talked more about the positives of the actual gameplay, just because I felt like that was so much more of a positive when it comes to Metroidvanias, at least from my perspective. But yeah, like as far as the combat goes, there is parries, there's guards, there's skills, like I said, and there's a bunch of different skills. There's a skill tree. You can level up your character. Like, all of that stuff is in here, as well as having a very beautiful, fast-paced game. And so yeah, it's an easy pickup for me, especially at the price of like $17. Even 8.5 is arguably closer, in fact, maybe a better score than Prince of Persia in my mind. But let me know what your guys' thoughts are. Have you heard of this game? I know that the original one is also on deep discount right now. I think it's like $7.49. I haven't played that game, but if it's anything like this, that's a really good pickup. But yeah, let me know what your thoughts are on this game, if you're interested in picking it up, or your thoughts on Metroidvanias in general. Anything and everything, I'd love to hear from y'all. Take care, everyone. Bye-bye.